Welcome to the Political Insider. Quick reminder, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, do so. It's definitely worth it because we are going to bring you some news that a lot of other people wouldn't carry. Now, the National Prosecuting Authority seems to have found some renewed vigor since the departure of Shamila Batoy as the National Director of Public Prosecutions. You know, she seemed to be good at doing very little and they're moaning about it. But we haven't seen convictions yet, but suddenly a whole lot of cases that seem to have been just shelved have come back to life. And one of those cases that the National Prosecuting Authority has announced is an urgent investigation into allegations that involve politicians who were part of, let's put it this way, our deputy president. We remember him. Do you remember the term Alex Mafia? Well, one of his main backers, one of his main mates in the Alex Mafia was a gentleman by the name of Mike Maila. And Mike Maila was an integral part of Paul Mashatile's Alex Mafia, as it was called at the time. Now, for years, Mike Maila used to have quite prominent position in the Gauteng government, especially when Paul Mashatile was in charge. He's avoided criminal charges relating to a massive Gauteng government tender for the purchase of access control software and equipment. So a 2021 decision was made by the National Prosecuting Authority, but then to prosecute Maila, but suddenly it disappeared. And let's understand what the problem was here. In 2009, Maila was the CEO of the Gauteng Shared Services Center. Basically, a whole bunch of word salad, but really he managed some projects within the Gauteng government. And, where's the juicy ones? The ones where the tenders were for hundreds of millions of rand. And they issued this tender for access control and equipment. Initially, the thing was meant to cost 96 million rand. But suddenly it became 116 million rand, as it does, 20 million rand here or 20 million rand there. And the next thing you know, you're talking about a decent amount of money. But despite all these investigations by the Hawks, by the NPA's decision to prosecute, Maila was removed from the charge sheet for reasons that are unclear. And he had been charged for violating the Public Finance Management Act, the PFMA. Basically, it's a precursor to actual corruption, but he had definitely not followed the procedure. But listen to this. The tender was awarded to an Irish software company, which is not hard because most American software companies get registered in Ireland for the rest of the world because of tax status. So a lot of the companies that we know as American companies are technically Irish, but in actual fact, they're American companies. In this case, the company was Novell. And there was a company called Novell SA, registered in Ireland, and they were going to provide the software needed for this access system. But being South Africa, it needed a local BEE partner. So who became the BEE partner to Novell? A company called Shimo, SHIMO, Shimo IT Solutions. And it turns out that this whole tender was an absolute joke. The National Prosecuting Authority charged Maila as the person in charge because he hadn't followed the right procedure. Neither had his head of finance, Stuart Lumka. So he was charged. And Andrew Shika, who was the MD of Shimo. And these people were charged with corruption. And the case was enrolled. Finally, after years, and who knows what happens, and it turns out pops the case, and there's only one person who's being charged, and that's the finance guy, Stuart Lumka, right? Both Mr. Shika, the CEO of Shimo, and Maila have been removed from the case. But even the question of how Shimo became the BEE partner to Novell is crazy because they weren't Nobel's BEE partner. In fact, Nobel had a very competent BEE partner, Ubusha Technologies, who apparently had a good, strong track record of delivering services and doing what they were meant to do. Let's set aside the idea of BEE. One of the big things was that it's not just meant to be a vehicle for theft. It's also meant to be a place where certain jobs get done by the local, in this case, black-owned company. And Shimu was imposed on Novell as the BEE partner. It was like, accept these guys or you're not going to get the thing. So, 116 million rand. Shimor gets 50% of the 116 million rand contract and do not one stitch of work at all. They literally pocket 60 million rand. This is in 2011. Mike Maile resigns from the Gauteng government. And surprise, surprise, Shimu IT gets liquidated in 2013. Never having done a stitch of work for their 60 million rand. It's gone. The Auditor General labels this as irregular expenditure, but as they say in South Africa, that was the end of that. We will prosecute at some point, and nothing has happened for 17 years. When this thing first rang bells as being irregular, this whole tender was ridiculous, right? It was significantly less than the original 96 million because Novell did it for half of 116, i.e. 58 million rand. The BEE partner takes flight with the 58 million and liquidates the business. So it's like, good luck with that. So now suddenly the NPA wants to go after Maila after all these years of him living the life. He resigns from government and he hasn't exactly been in the, looking for a job or in the poorhouse. Clearly he was looked after in the whole arrangement. But in South Africa, we are very fond of keeping things in the family because Mike Maile's younger brother, Lebogang Maile, happens to currently be the MEC for Finance in Gauteng. Now, I'm sure that he's there. I'm sure he's a very nice guy and his children must love him a lot. But do you think this apple falls far from the tree? We're going to watch this one closely because Gauteng has been the hotbed of corruption. We know what happened with the hospitals. That must surely just be part of the whole tactic. Surely the whole tactic is that it's run very much by government. Everybody talks about the criminal syndicates, but they had help inside the Gauteng government. We know that because it was messages from Babita Deokaran to her superiors within the Gauteng Health Department that led to her assassination. So clearly the Gauteng government is complicit in this. It's got to be. Lebogang Maile at the moment is the MEC for Finance. I'm sure he's a very clean individual, but his brother, perhaps not so much. And it's going to be very interesting to see if the NPA do actually make any progress on this case, or if we just kiss away all of that money for all of these years. If there's one lot of businesses that we don't need in this country, it's the SETAs. I can't tell you how bad these organizations are. In addition to being an unnecessary hurdle for business in South Africa, they add no value and they are unrehabilitatingly corrupt. Why? Because if you run a SETA, you get this pot of money to just hand out as you see fit. And pretty soon you're handing it out to somebody on, if I must give it to person A or person B, I might just consider person B who says, it also comes with the holiday home. Now it is the turn, and the SETA seem to take it in turns of hitting the headlines. This time, it's this beautifully titled Education, Training and Development Practices Sector Education and Training Authority, or the ETDP SETA, who decided that the trough needed a bit of their attention. So what did they do? Well, the acting CEO, Nokakanyo Mafale, she decided that maybe they needed new offices, because this is another trick that the SETAs use. They're forever moving offices from one 5-star office to another 5-star office with a massive budget for renovating the office, for moving. Some of the numbers are staggering. So she decided that when an investigator exposed a flaw in the tender, that this head of legal and compliance in this particular SETA, a person by the name of Nkanyiso Sitole, discovered that SETA was paying rent of almost 600,000 Rand a month for premises that they weren't using. And they did this for nearly 2 years. What happened here? Well, the building that they moved into in Johannesburg is riddled with health hazards, and it received 6 separate government violation notices. Right? The investigation has revealed our taxpayers, you and me, we've paid more than 15 million Rand for rent, which continues to this day, for an office space that nobody is working from. Everybody has to work from home because the building is uninhabitable. An investigation was done by an independent law firm, Rapela Attorneys, and it's implicated several senior officials in collusion and corruption. What happened here? Well, there was an initial process that was started in January 24th to go and find new officers. The bid evaluation committee determined that only 3 bidders met the administration compliance requirements. One was called Blue Crest Holdings, one was called Alitsky Property Holdings, and the third one, SKG Africa. After a short listing evaluation, including site inspections for the mandatory requirements, the bid committee deems that only SKG were compliant, except that in a report dated March 2024, it showed that SKG did not have an occupancy certificate for that particular building that they wanted to house the SETA in. Now, SKG is one of the biggest landlords to the government. They have more than 16 state departments and agencies leasing offices from them. They collect more than 40 million Rand of our taxpayer money for offices that are used by the government, even though the government has thousands of buildings that they don't even use. But yet they have to pay a company like this. By July 2024, after this deal was struck, staff members of this beautiful SETA, this education and training SETA, moved into these offices in 45 Moy Street, the old Hollard buildings. Despite some of the floors not even being ready, they put them in other places temporarily. The building had been vacant for 3 years. Nobody wanted to be there. But along comes the ETDP SETA and decides it's good enough for them. By September 2024, smoke starts beginning to appear in the building for no reason that anybody can understand. And it started to create health and safety concerns. But there was no solution forthcoming from the landlords. So the ETDP SETA decided to do the only logical thing. They sent all their staff home and they said, okay, start working remotely. The only difference is the landlord has done nothing, but the ETDP SETA has continued to pay rent. So what follows is that the acting CEO decides to suspend the person and block a report that says this is wasteful expenditure. There have been so many inspections done. Serious legal battle has begun, which is going to cost more of our taxpayer money. And it remains unclear why this acting CEO of the SETA halted the investigation into the graft around this contract. I mean, it's a pretty clear-cut thing. The contract seems to be flawed, and yet you carry on paying more than 500,000 Rand a month. But don't expect our compromised Minister of Higher Education, Buti Manamela, who took over from his predecessor, who was kicked out of her job. He's from the South African Communist Party, and he's not going to do anything about it. He hasn't done anything about the other SETA theft and corruption. So we're on our own here. But at least we can keep on raising the awareness of this kind of corruption and keep it in the spotlight so these people can't hide. And we'll keep on doing it on the Political Insider. But I do want to leave you with one bit of positive news, because I hope you're sitting down. This news is going to surprise you. But somebody has ended up in jail for corruption in South Africa. Yes, it has happened. And if you've survived me telling you that somebody's been arrested for corruption, the next bit's going to floor you completely. This was a result of evidence gathered at the Zondo Commission. Remember the Zondo Commission? 5 volumes of people that should have been prosecuted. Who is the poor individual? Well, it turns out it was a crooked ANC member of parliament, Vincent Smith. And he has been sentenced to 7 years in prison for taking money from Bosasa. Remember them? Gavin Watson and Angela Agrizzi and those nice people. And if it's possible to feel sympathy for a crook, which we've got no right to feel sorry for a government employee who's crooked, you almost feel sorry, I'm going to stress, almost feel sorry for Vincent Smith, because he was one of the smallest fish in the whole, named in the Zondo Commission, right? And he was just doing what everybody else was doing. In fact, he was doing what his boss was doing. Remember Gwede Mantashe? He got security upgrades at all 3 of his houses because, a communist has got a communist. And this also came from Bosasa. And what about the current ANC Deputy Secretary General, Nomvula Mokonyane? Remember, she got packs of chicken and booze and parties and 50th birthday celebrations to celebrate all compliments of Gavin Watson and his team while she flitted between engagements in her Aston Martin. But she's still out there trying to lecture the country on good governance. Remember that Bosasa weren't just doing this because they liked Vincent Smith or Gwede Mantashe or Nomvula Mokonyane. They got over nearly 2.5 billion rand in government contracts. Vincent Smith's power was that he was on the prisons portfolio committee, correctional service, so he could influence where the correctional services bought their stuff from, and they decided that Bosasa is the best supplier of everything. And in return, he got 800,000 rand in cash. You may recall he claimed that it wasn't a bribe. In fact, it was a personal loan because he needed help to pay his daughter's university fees. Now, it is surprising that that suddenly this case was prosecuted, and it's going to be very interesting to see once Vincent Smith goes to jail for exactly the same thing some of his colleagues and some of his comrades have done, what happens next. And we will let you know the next gripping installment of this particular soap opera. Thank you so much for joining us on The Political Insider. Subscribe to the channel. We'll keep the news flowing. Thanks for joining us today.